Chronic fatigue, I really think of chronic fatigue as something very much like a fellow who plays video poker every single night and doesn't get a whole night's sleep. And if you do that long enough, you're accumulating all kinds of lactic acids and toxins in your body that accumulate just because you're alive. You have all the antioxidants and stuff that you can take. Well, oxidants are formed in the body, and there's a lot of other toxins that are produced and expelled through cell respiration. That means what goes into the cell and then what expelled through a cell. It's not just the breathing of the lungs, but cells respirate in and out. And so once they produce some kind of toxic material, and that toxic material is not taken out, not removed from the body because maybe you didn't spend enough time sleeping for the repairs and the trash to be hauled out by the lymphatic system, you can end up with enough accumulated that you might end up with something like chronic fatigue. Now, how is that related to mitochondria? Well, if you're producing a lot of toxins, or let's say you drive an hour and a half to work every day and your cortisol levels are out the top because every driver is an idiot in front of you, and you come to work and you're just wired. And by the way, while you were driving, you drank 3 cups of coffee. So by the time you get to work, you're just completely wired. You are doing damage to your mitochondria. You are toxifying your body. And couple that with sleep deprivation, and maybe you might not even be drinking the right amount. And how much are we supposed to drink? What's the old wives' tale?
Take your body weight, whatever that is in pounds, and divide it by 2, and that equals the amount of ounces.
That's right. If you're 100 pounds, it's 50 ounces. It is not 8 glasses of water a day, okay? Unless you are exactly 160 pounds.
128 pounds, right?
105, whatever. Whatever. The point is that you have to hydrate, which helps the body remove toxins. I would be willing to bet that many of the chronic fatigue problems that people have can be traced to either the food, an allergen, where their body is reacting to something and driving them down to where they are in an autoimmune response, or they're dehydrated, they don't have enough. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, if you don't have enough fluid in your system, when you go to get a good night's sleep, you can't process enough of the toxins and get it out of your body because you just don't have enough fluid flowing in the body. I've seen people that are 200, 250 pounds coming in here in my clinic, and they're asking for a pill because of this or that, and they're drinking 20 to 30 ounces of water a day. And I'm thinking, how are you alive? That's not enough to survive on. It's just not enough. And if you were to check their blood, it's probably very thick. And that's setting yourself up for possibly a stroke or something else. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a naturopath, and so I can't diagnose, but I've seen people that had all kinds of indications that scared me so badly that I said, you need to leave now, and you need to go to emergency now and get checked out. And in a couple of cases, people avoided having a coronary because their blood pressure was out the ceiling and their blood was as thick as syrup. So I didn't diagnose. I just looked at it and got terrified and sent the person out to a medical professional, which is what I'm supposed to do. So in this case, if you want to avoid chronic fatigue, start taking care of your mitochondria. If you're eating corn chips every night, you're going to be destroying your gut flora, all the bacteria, because corn chips now, most corn chips, are GMO, and they contain some toxin from a material called Bacillus transcendus, and that's a material that has been woven into the genetics of the corn to produce a small toxin to keep insects off. It works great. Problem is that toxin doesn't go away when you cook the corn or make corn chips, and it devastates the bacteria in your bowel. Well, what does that have to do with mitochondria? The walls of your bowel, the cells in the walls of your bowel have mitochondria. Every living cell in your body has mitochondria. Well, if you compromise the cell wall structure by wiping out and toxifying mitochondria, perhaps you could end up with leaky gut or anything else, aside from the fact that you've lost a major defense system for your immunity, because most of the immunity comes from the gut. So you want to do those things that make common sense about taking care of the mitochondria so that you can get away from this massive fatigue that you have. It's not, oh, I need to go to the gym more. Okay, you don't even need to go to the gym. Do you know that biologists now tell us that 3 times a week, walking for anywhere from 25 to 40 minutes in a brisk walk is equivalent to doing some pretty stressive stuff in the gym. And if people that spend 2 hours in the gym actually can be hurting their mitochondria because they're pushing too hard. So that's pretty much how I see that you could do something about the chronic fatigue situation. It's the care and feeding of your mitochondria that is, in fact, really at the primary core of that. I'm sure there's a lot of other reasons, but I have seen it up close and personal in my clinic of people who, as I used to say, crawled under the screen door when they came in because they had no energy. I mean, we're talking about people who just slinked in and kind of melted into the chair because that's all they could do. Well, after a while, we were able to look at the diet, look at the amount of hydration, look at some of the other things that they were doing, got them to stop some of that. The miracles occur at that point. They really make a drastic change in their lives. So I do believe that there is a critical link to the mitochondria for chronic fatigue.
Absolutely. I had a question for you, which is coinciding, but maybe getting off on a bit of a tangent. How do you think diseases that are surrounded by a lot of fatigue, like lupus, do you think they're related to mitochondrial deficiency?
I do. Matter of fact, I do. Those diseases, I'll give you an example of one. This lady had high levels of cholesterol. So a doctor 20 years ago put her on cholesterol medicine. And I have a major problem with that because there's a study in England that was done on 18,000 people who all had various little bit of compromises in their heart and circulatory system. And they found after a period of approximately 10 years that more people died taking the drugs for controlling cholesterol than those who did not. Now that study is not publicized hardly at all anymore because it certainly interferes with the business of selling cholesterol modifying materials. But you really ask me again how you want that structured. What was,
my question was, do you think illnesses like
yes, okay.
lupus?
I lost it just a minute.
That's all right.
The idea there is that these diseases are autoimmune diseases.
Okay.
They're classified as autoimmune. What's autoimmune? Your body begins to attack itself. Why would that be? Because certain indicators disappear. Certain things within cells stop working so that the cells don't recognize each other and they don't recognize what their purpose is in the body. Well, that sounds an awful lot like cells that become cancerous because their mitochondria is extremely weak. The cells start producing toxins, can't get rid of it because mitochondria is just kind of listless. and so the cell toxifies and the cell ends up going cancerous. Okay, well, I think that has a lot to do with autoimmune disease. I have seen major turnarounds in people with lupus and arthritis by the care and feeding of mitochondria. I've seen massive changes in these people. We're not talking about cures. I'm not making claims like that. I'm saying that if you provide the food to the mitochondria, specific materials that are known to help the care and feeding of mitochondria, there is some natural materials that are ideal for that were researched for one UCLA Medical Center in Southern California in I think it was 2002 or 2003 at that time. There was a number of other places, but this material was proven to improve and actually cause mitochondria to proliferate in the body, because mitochondria can actually begin to reproduce, and cells then can become stronger. And some of this fatigue, some of this extreme inflammation, and all of this cells attacking each other slowed down to virtually stop when the mitochondria was reinvigorated. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And, not to get off on another tangent, but something you helped me out with a lot was with my nutrition and diet, as far as carbohydrate intake from not eating so many grains.
Yes.
And personally, I noticed a huge increase in energy from not eating that type of, nutrition, or not taking that type of nutrition in. How do you think that could be related to chronic fatigue?
Well, I think that has something to do with chronic fatigue. I think that it's found that if you read Dr. David Perlmutter's book on Grain Brain, is the name of his book. I think it's fabulous. Get that book and read it. You'll find that there are a lot of enzymes and various materials in the grasses, the cereal grains that we eat, the grains of grasses, and that is wheat, rice, corn, millet, various other kinds of materials. Those are all the seeds harvested. Corn is probably the biggest grass material that we eat. We're humans. We're not designed to eat grass or the seeds of grass. It carries a lot of mind-altering material. And, sometimes chronic fatigue is also connected to despondency. It's connected to just feeling like heck mentally. You got this cloud over you and you can't figure out why. Well, a lot of the research has proven that even in schizophrenia and bipolar and various other things, that those conditions can be moderated when somebody stops eating cereal grains. All the different kinds of cereal grains, all of a sudden they begin to show massive responses there, to positive responses. So I think that answers it for chronic fatigue.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. These particular points that we bring to you, that we discuss, are direct results of we getting this information from you. You are writing to us and leaving us information that you want to know about. And we make our dead level best to try to illuminate some of this, of what we might know about it, and bring that to you. And we do that every single day. This is a lot of fun. We have a lot of good times doing this and researching this material before we come and talk with you. So check out, subscribe, hit the like button. We love it, and it's it drives us to do even better. We try really hard. Until next time, this is Jerry
and David.
Be well.
Be well.